how to create a sea coral effect in Photoshop. I'm using CC 220, but it's similar, could be 2019, etc. Key panels are layers and paths. You can find those via the window menu, layers and paths there. Okay, now you've got that. The source material. Well, the source material is very simple, just a grey circle. That's it. That's all you need, a grey circle. So create a new document, transparent background. So go to File and New and make it fairly small, 300 by 300, etc. Transparent background, and then run that. So you've got design there. Go to the brushes, select one of the general brushes, set the value to 15 pixels, and set the colour to grey. That's the key thing. The grey is useful because then you can get the colour. Colorise random in the patterns. So just draw that, and you can always undo it. If you're not happy with the design, undo it and do it again. Now you need to define that as a pattern. So edit and define pattern. Give it a name, click OK. Now what you need is a path, because I'm going to use the edit menu and fill with a place along path. So go to the curvature tool, and you can again do this a couple of times if you're not happy with the result. Curvature tool, use the path option, and click on the artboard. Just make a wavy design. Something very simple like that. And you can undo it, do it 3 or 4 times until you're happy with your design. And also what you need then is a new layer. So layer, new and layer. Click OK. So you've got two, well, we've obviously got a couple of layers from earlier videos, but what you need is a layer, a new layer, fresh new layer. And I'm going to use that path. So edit and fill. Content, set to pattern, script, put the script on, place along path, make certain that's that. And set the custom pattern to the pattern you just defined. So it's that circle there. Click OK. Now this bit requires a little bit of trial and error because the preview never really matches the end result. Doesn't even match the end path. Set the scale very low, 0.1. Set the spacing, I'm going to go with my... I can't really give you exact settings because you might have a different design. But you have to just tweak the settings to minus 215 pixels. Also set the scale progression to something like 100.5, 100.9. Something fairly small. If you go for like 102, suddenly the whole screen will be filled. Also the colour randomness set to 1. And that's the reason for the grey. So you get a lovely range of colour. You can always undo this, run it again, and just change the settings as you wish. Make certain the angle from path is actually 0. I've got it set as 90 because I've run this tutorial a few times and it's left over from the last one. I don't want it to be 90, so I'm going to put it to 0. Again, you may just vary it depending on what you want. You might want it at 45. What you want for the... I'm going to go with 0 because I've got that design is horizontally, so I want it to be 0. And click OK. And you've got that. Quite like that. It's quite nice. Nice sort of flowing from very small at the side all the way over to the right side and a fairly big circle. And it's all different coloured circles. Now it's on a layer. You can get rid of the other layers as well if you wish. But you also, on a layer, you can go to Layer and Layer Style and Bevel Emboss. And another area you can just tweak these values until you're happy. Change the technique. I'm going to go with smooth, depth, style, the bevel, inner bevel, size. Just change those and tweak those until you're happy with the design you get. You can change the gloss. I'm just going to go with the basic one and change the angle. Which I'm going to go with the central. Once you're happy with that, click OK. Now it's a design on a layer, so you can remove the other layers if you wish. Go to the Move tool. You can move it around. Also, you can deselect the path. Don't need that path now. You can delete it as well. So you can just delete those layers. So just deselect that. So the path's not active now. Now you could go to the layer menu and Smart Object and convert it to a smart object, or just resize it, manipulate it in the way you want. Up to you. Generally, I do smart objects. So layer and layer style. If you want to add additional, I'm just going to go with a drop shadow. I just feel that drop shadow works quite nice as well with that. Just move that slightly there. Just gives it a bit of depth to it. Click OK. And once you're happy with your design, go to the rectangular marquee tool in the tool panel, because you want to define it as a pattern. Now I don't want the entire document, I just want that small little bit of a wavy design there. So just select all that and Edit menu and Define Pattern. Of course, you can do all kinds of variations of this circle. You don't have to use circles. Of course, you could use many other shapes as well, maybe elliptical designs, star-like designs. Up to you. So just deselect that. But I'm not going to use that anymore, so it's not required. Layer menu and flatten it. Now you could just create a new document. I'm just going to go, instead, I'm just going to use an edit and fill with white. It's just me being lazy and not going for a new document. So now you've got your design. What you can then do is you can create a new layer. What you want is a new layer. And I'm going to put that design, that pattern that I've just selected and created, I'm going to put that on there. And I'm just going to use, this time, I'm going to use a circle. So go to the ellipse tool. Make certain it's path. Path option there in the top left. And this, again, requires a little bit of trial and error, because it's virtually impossible to say, yes, it's this spacing setting, this will work, this will work. Depends on the size of the document and so on. So with that selected, new layer, you've got the path. You can now go to Edit and Fill and use that pattern you just created. So again, make certain the contents is changed, otherwise it'll be just white. And go with Pattern, set the script on, place along path as before, just make certain it's on. And go and select the custom pattern. And that's the design you just created, that lovely wavy design. Make sure it's selected, because otherwise you'll run it and you'll be using the previous one. And click OK. Now a second panel will come up. And again, requires a bit of trial and error. So, but the 0.1 is not going to be very good this time. So I'm just going to increase the scale up to 1 or 0.8. And also you might have to change the spacing. I'm also going to remove the randomness. I'm going to set that 0 because it's quite colourful already. I don't want it to recolour. You can tweak the spacing. You can also change the angle. Go with 90 if you want one particular effect, or you can go with minus 90 if you look at it and think, oh, no, I want the other way around. Unfortunately, the preview is not very particularly big, so you can't actually see sometimes. So it does require to run it a few times just to determine what works, what doesn't. Click OK. But the design looks quite nice the other way around as well. Now I'm going to change it, but you can see the design there. So what you created these lovely tentacles all around, sort of octopus, an odd colourful octopus, maybe. So again, don't go down to define pattern. I want to go to edit menu and fill. And again, exactly the same settings in that panel. So nothing needs to be changed. Be nice if it was all in a single panel, but it's not. So click OK. Now what you can change, make that -90. That's the limit, 90 to -90. So it's swapped over now. And again, you can change and tweak the spacing. Make it more, make it less. I'm going to make it -200, whatever. Click OK. You've got design there. And you can run it a few times. Just run it 3 or 4 times. Change the spacing just so you can get those lovely designs in the way you want that. You can always undo and edit and fill. It doesn't take too long, and just run it. Probably a couple of seconds now. You have to rerun it again. Just change your spacing. And I always find it easier to use the edit field. So modifying on the slider. So click out. That's it. That's a design I want. I want them fairly close together, not so close together that it's. I don't want that part anymore, so you can deselect that. Just go over to the panel, deselect on that empty space there. And you can change this. You can turn this into a smart object. I'm not going to do any more further work with the design particularly, so it doesn't really require that, but you could use it as a smart object. So layer menu and smart object and convert to smart object. Now, smart objects. It's just useful. You can always then undo things without any particular damage to the original source material. Now, what you can do with that smart object, you can hold down the Alt or Option key and drag and duplicate it and then resize it. And I want to make it slightly smaller. And I'm going to repeat that a couple of times. So you can also do it via the layer menu and duplicate. That's another option as well. And then resize that. And you can do that 3 or 4 times. Maybe you can add colours to it. So you can actually recolour that as well. You don't have to keep it the same colour. You can also apply effects to it. So you can go to the filter menu. You can go to the image menu and adjustments. So you can tweak them. You can also rotate the design. You can also add layer styles if you wish as well to each of those individual layers. And again, you can rotate it a bit more and shrink it down again. So you can see now all those sort of circles all the way around, all coming from that central bit. So it looks pretty coral-like already. So you've got your design there. What you can do, you can actually select all of those designs and then go to Layer menu and Smart Objects, my favourite, and convert to Smart Object. So it's all one single smart object, and you can always edit it as well. You can always click on it, double click the smart object thumbnail, go down and edit it again later. But what I want to do is I want to convert that into a pattern. I want to define it as a pattern. So you can remove the background, just that layer. And again, go to the rectangular marquee tool. Select the entire design there. And then go to Edit menu and define pattern. Give it a name or not, up to you. Click OK. So that's now defined as a pattern. You can always apply different effects to it. You can go to like Filter menu and Stylize. So oil paint there, or find edges, and then tweak it a bit. Set stylisation in the middle. You don't want it particularly completely smeared and blurred, but you want a slight subtle smear in there. Click OK. And again, you can go and define that, or maybe add a style, or recolour it. So image menu. So again, you can add a bevel and emboss, change the depth, size, etc. Change the gloss contour, change the angle. So it gives it a bit more three-dimensional depth by using this approach. Click OK. And again, that can be then defined as another pattern. Or you can convert the whole thing into a smart object. Because now what you could do, you can duplicate that design and fill the whole entire document with that design. That's a useful thing as well. Or you can define the whole thing as a pattern. There's a lot of defining as pattern in this video. So edit menu, define as pattern, click OK. Now you could go and create a new document, or just use layers and just go to layer and new layer, click OK, or press return. So again, edit and fill. This time, use the pattern you just defined. So it's about three stages. So you've got that design there. Now you could have used the earlier one as well. That's perfectly reasonable. And this time, again, place along path or random fill. I'm going to go with random fill because I want to fill the entire document. So script is on. Custom pattern is the one you just defined. And then you've got this random fill. And boost up the colour randomness. Now, each of those individual corals is suddenly recoloured. So you've got a whole range of different colours. And you've got your design there. Just feels it's a multicolourful undersea coral scene. So again, you can apply it a couple of times. Fill, density set fairly high, set the scale factors up to you, what you want to set, and apply it again. And you can repeat that numerous times until you're happy with your design. What you can also do is go to filter and stylize and oil paint, or just go to the repeat, just apply it just like that. Apply it a couple of times, that oil paint. And what you can also do, image and adjustments and levels. So that's all created via that edit menu and fill. So it's just applied, repeated that pattern in different slides, different sizes, all across that document with different colours. Again, you can always apply it again. So you've applied all those effects, and now you've got, so you can see all the different densities fairly high, maximum scale factor. So it's between 0.31 and 1.19. You can tweak those as well. You can change the colour randomness if you don't want to actually, so you can apply it again, and no colorise random at all. Up to you. Edit and fill. Click OK. And you can apply it 3 or 4 times. The preview never matches the end result. So a 3 or 4 times, and you can layer it. So maybe apply layer menu, new layer, apply multiple layers and apply different shadows and things. Or maybe go to filter menu and distort and use wave. Gives it a sort of waviness under the sea. So you can use wraparound, change the wavelength, keep the amplitude fairly low, otherwise it completely obliterates the image. Yep, set the wavelength and click OK. And it just gives it a slight twist. And you can apply it 3 or 4 times until you're happy with the end result. something like that. So it gives it a sort of unusual look. And again, you can go to filter menu and stylize an oil paint. And slightly give a bit of smeariness to it. Click OK. Subtle applications of oil paint, 3 or 4 times. So you've got that sort of weird sort of undersea sort of rippling, so you're looking through water, looking down at that. And again, image menu adjustments. Change the input sliders, just push that to the left and that one to the right. Click OK. And there's your design. A lovely, beautiful undersea design. And you create all kinds of variety designs using this similar approach. It's all created just very basic from that simple design, which all comes from a circle. That's it. That's all that's... Well, I hope you found this tutorial of interest. Please subscribe to the Graphic Extra channel, always adding new tutorials all the time about Photoshop, Illustrator, etc. Please add a comment or two, always appreciated. Also, a dislike or like. Thank you much.